Unless we want, we can always call the meeting to order and start with public hearing piece and then hope that we get there to 6:15. We could also approve minutes and stuff too. So, all right. I guess we will call the meeting to order. 6:04. We got the whole board here. As we always do for the beginning of our meetings, introduce myself. I'm Stephanie Slish. I'm the board chair. Bob Wagner, alternate chair. We have Paul Dostal on the committee, Jimmy Tarr, and Mike Foshik, who's on the phone. And then we have our admin assistant, Gerard Bueno. So we have public hearings tonight, one at 6:15, one at 6:45, and then we have a couple of, that's the only thing on the official agenda. Open it up as we usually do with public forum. If anyone is here to speak, not for either of the two public hearings, but for anything else that they would like to speak to the planning board, they can speak now. I feel like everyone's here either for River Valley Growers or the Thayer property piece. So we if there's no one here to speak for public forum, we could close public forum. And like I said, do we think we can approve minutes from the December meeting while we wait till 6:15 here? Did folks get a chance to take a look at those?
Yep.
I did.
All right, any amendments or changes that we'd like to make before approval, or?
Yeah, this is Mike. My last name, Paszek.
Sorry about that. I'll make that change.
I approved the hearing notices, Mike, and my last name was spelt wrong, so didn't even.
Oh, I just that's the only thing I saw. So I'm not offended. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry.
The rest all look good to me.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, December 2nd, I believe it was.
I'll second.
Okay.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, all minutes are approved. Thank you. Is there anything else the board wants to just informally discuss now, or we can wait till after too?
I have a question about Full Tilt Auto. Anybody have any update on that or what's going on with that?
I can provide some. I spoke with Lisa, and Lisa was kind of reticent to get ZBA involved. She feels that we could solve the problem or help them solve the problem through a special permit rather than a zoning variance, because her reasoning being that the zoning variance stays with the property, whereas the
Special permit does.
special permit could just be, we could put a time limit on it, 3 years, 5 years, whatever our decision. And then if it didn't comply within that time, then all parties could move on, or it would give them some time to figure out what they're doing without losing their business, their investment. It's similar to what Bob had explained the other day at the last meeting.
And if they were to go for a special permit, that could only be for that business, not for that place. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's what Lisa is suggesting, is that the special permit would just be for that business, and that we would consider putting a time limit on it. And maybe during that period of time, the planning board, working with the select board, might look at our use table as we all discussed earlier, it seems a little odd that that type of use is not allowed in a light industrial zone in the first place. So
That's exactly what she's suggesting. That word, pretty almost word for word.
And who would grant the special permit?
We would,
it would have to
Okay.
come from us.
the
Okay.
planning board.
They would have to apply, and as we know, the Conservation Commission also weighed in saying that they needed to address some wetlands issues because there's wetlands to the back between them and the interstate.
Yeah, at least, yeah, they still would have, they actually haven't officially applied for anything yet, so they'd still have to go through that whole process. The, referral.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we would have heard from their attorney by now or heard something. Have you guys heard anything?
So the building inspector Kyle Scott just spoke with me today, and their lawyer had reached out to him to draft a letter in their favor. And so Kyle Scott I just spoke with him today, so the wheels are turning on their end.
Okay.
So he is drafting a letter for them to present to the zoning board if need be. And the lawyer had been Lydia was in contact with the lawyer as well a couple of weeks ago. So they are looking to file.
Okay.
It seems.
File
Thank
with
you.
us or with ZBA?
With ZBA. From what Lydia had told me and what Kyle Scott had just told me today, with that letter that he's drafting on their behalf.
Well, we'll just, I guess we'll just, if Lisa gets that, we'll see we'll go from there. That's,
Maybe she could refer them back to us.
yeah, it's probably what it's going to be.
I think
But-
it's still good though, because then they at least did that, and then we get the reference from ZBA for whatever step going forward, at least.
And at least they're moving, at least something's going on. So that's good.
Steph, I have another quick question that maybe we can address before 6:15.
Okay.
Will we hold the public hearing on the zone change for North Hatfield Road at our February meeting?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, that would work. I mean, the timing isn't, we could still submit a placeholder warrant article and hold the hearing afterwards, but it sounds like the warrant articles, they're hoping to have them by February 15th. So if we have our hearing on the 2nd, then
That should be fine.
yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I just got an email today that I'll forward to you all after this about from a neighbor from the Omastas who's been kind of following this, and she just wasn't sure. She didn't see it on the agenda, so she wanted to send something over, but I told her it would be likely that it would be next month.
Okay. All right, good.
All right, I think, yeah, and then any further update on micro slaughterhouse stuff or anything like that, Bob?
No, in fact, I haven't gotten anything from the folks over in Dutchess County, so I'm going to have to shake that tree to see if we can get something from them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna reach out to Ken. We've chatted a little bit about when I reached out about before reaching out to town council about the potentially Bernie's potential thoughts on that Smithsonian Chatterhouse parcel. But anyway, so Ken, I've been in touch with Ken, but I wanted to talk to him about moving forward the see if the grant money is, now that it's the new year, if we can start moving on the open space development bylaw stuff. So
Oh, good. That's good.
he said
So
it would be a new year, so now I'll poke him again too.
And you'll talk to him about the setback issue as well, and then he did get us that stuff from on the slaughterhouse in Connecticut, which was really helpful. So
Yeah, the setback issue stuff, he said we should talk to council, so that's why I did talk to town.
oh, okay. So he didn't have anything to add to that.
Mhm.
No, okay.
And then there's one other. Oh, and Yeah, is there anything else? Any other any updates from anyone? And then we can move into opening the public hearing.
Slaughterhouse guy's looking for a different location. Is that the story?
We haven't heard anything from him. I think how we left it is we would be in communication with him if we were changing and updating our bylaws. But we haven't heard from him. All right. It is 6:14. By the time I finish reading the hearing notice, it'll be 6:15. So let's open the public. This is my first public hearing as chair. I would also like to say so, please, and thank you, grant me. And I have two tonight, so this is great practice. So Bob, please chime in if I've out of turn here or something. So public hearing is open for River Valley growers. This planning board of town of Hatfield will conduct a public hearing on Wednesday, January 6th at 6:15 remote. The purpose is to consider amending the previous application, which was heard on August 20th, 2020. River Valley Growers, Inc. is seeking a special permit with site plan approval from the board pursuant to section 7B4 subsection D of Venus Road, Bashan Road, owned by Christian Simrowski, Assessor's Map 202, Lot 12, zoned agriculture. The proposed amendment is to build a total of 100,000 square foot of greenhouse cultivation space and 20,000 square foot of outdoor cultivation space. Final construction will be required to comply with regulations of the Cannabis Control Commission in accordance with 3.0 use regulations 311 and 312 of the Town of Hatfield zoning bylaws. The complete application is available for inspection during regular business hours at the office of the town clerk, Memorial Town Hall, 59 Main Street, Hatfield. Link for Microsoft Teams will be provided on the posted agenda on the town's website. All right, now. Time is now provided for the applicants to describe the project. Then after that, we're going to have comments from any supporters of the project, comments from any opponents, and then the board will ask questions. So I guess we'll start off with Bernie here, representing River Valley Growers, and what this change looks like.
Thank you, Steph. Gentlemen, with me tonight is Jared Glansberger as professional support and Chris Chamberlain from Berkshire Design. So in a nutshell, we would like to amend the previous agreement where we are allowed to now grow completely outdoors as opposed to just in the greenhouse, which is also considered outdoors when there is no lighting involved.
So I guess I'll jump in here. So I think the members of the board are all familiar with the site that we're talking about. We were here over the summer requesting the special permit that was approved for approximately 100,000 square feet of greenhouse for cannabis cultivation. Since that time, as the project has come closer to fruition, the plans have been developed in terms of how to phase in this project. Obviously, that's quite a lot of greenhouse to construct. It won't be all constructed at once, and it's going to take some time. And so what Bernie and his group would like to do is to add special permit approval for outdoor cultivation under the zoning bylaw, which both does create a small increase in the total square footage that they'd be able to grow. But more importantly, it actually creates a lot of flexibility and importantly allows them to get plants growing outdoors this year while construction is still ongoing. So if I have the ability to share my screen, I will pull up the site plan in just a minute. But essentially, at a high level, what we're talking about is a pretty small change to the site plan to accommodate some rearrangement of some of the major features, as well as adding that special permit provision for the true outdoor grow, and not just in the greenhouses. And as Bernie alluded to, under the state licensing regulations, this entire project is going to be outdoor cultivation. The distinction under the state law is the presence or absence of horticultural lighting, as opposed to whether the plants are grown within a structure or not. But of course, for zoning purposes, the distinction between in a structure and out of a structure is very important. Are you all seeing my screen now, I hope?
Yes. Yeah.
Again, I think you're all familiar, but just for orientation, we're talking about the extreme northeastern portion of town. On this lot here, which actually straddles the town line, although the entirety of the facility, security fence, and everything inside it will be within the Hatfield portion of this property. And then I am going to stop that and switch over to my other screen where I have the current plan pulled up. And actually, just given the fact that when we were here over the summer, I pretty exhaustively went through the operation. What I'm going to do is highlight the plan that is currently approved for this site and highlight some of the differences. And I just very quickly remind you that we have site access off of what is known in Whately as Pilvinus Road that becomes Bayesian Road in Hatfield. Through a gravel driveway, through this existing field. We provided for parking for employees in this location here, a security fence that ran the perimeter of the site, and then that access driveway split between these two greenhouse areas to a vehicle turnaround and probably some staging area in the rear here, all within the fence line. We also provided for stormwater management to try to manage the runoff and ensure that there's no increase in discharge from the site after we plop all of this impervious area on there. And so now as I turn to the plan that we are currently proposing, as you'll see, the changes are not dramatic. We have retained the same square footage of greenhouse. That's in no small part due to the fact that, if you'll recall, we were right at the cap on coverage for this site of impervious area. But by pulling the parking out of this location here and running it along the driveway in this portion over here where we've provided the same number of parking spaces, and rearrange this head house building, which, if you'll recall, is there to house the minimal administrative functions, security booth as we enter the site, as well as restroom facilities, and just those sort of those functions that really need to be in more of a true building as opposed to in the greenhouses, is slid over here. And that combined with really not changing the access drive at all, not changing the layout of these greenhouses over here at all, opens up space for approximately 20,000 square feet of open air cultivation so that we can make use of that good farmland in this area here. We kept the landscape screening, rearranged it a little bit in a way that made sense with this layout. But really all of the other components that were discussed previously are very similar or identical to what was proposed last time. So again, access to the site is provided through a main gate here with security check. The entire site is secured with fence surrounding it, as well as cameras. Those are infrared cameras that don't require artificial light. There is some safety lighting around primarily focused around the parking lot to allow for employees coming and going during the times of the year when light is short. Aside from that, as I mentioned, because this would be outdoor cultivation, there would not be horticultural lighting. That's almost entirely true. There is a little bit of lighting allowed for the mother plants because, as you may know, the cultivation here is done primarily through clones. So there would be a small portion of this facility that would be allowed a small amount of grow lighting. That's typically low intensity, and the entire portion of that would include blackout curtains, which is not just to prevent light pollution, although it certainly does a very good job of that, but the plants actually require total blackout darkness for periods of the day. So that's a critical component to really be able to seal out any light, which also gives us the ability to seal in any light. And certainly during sort of low light periods of the day, there would be a small amount of task lighting so that people can see. But this is a facility that's run basically during business hours, Monday through Friday with a full crew and then a skeleton crew, making sure that everything's running okay on the weekends. So again, I don't want to go through as exhaustively as I did the last time we were presenting this project because the components sort of were approved already, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm sure some of the others are, as well as on some of these specifics.
Jimmy Tar, what happened to the turnaround area that's now going to be the outdoor cultivation?
So we actually do have room for both still. So the turnaround stays essentially the same size, and it was really moving the greenhouse and relocating the parking that freed up the space and let us sort of rationalize the site a little bit more.
I gotcha. Thank you.
Sure.
I feel like unless there's someone new here that is really interested in hearing the full application and like, is it okay that don't go through the whole thing all over again?
Steph, I think we might address through our questions how get at some of the things that otherwise might be brought up if they did the whole presentation. I don't think it's essential.
Okay. So now the official presentation piece is done. Now's the time where you have comments from supporters of the project. Is there anyone on the call here who is not an applicant that supports the project? All right. And now there's time if anyone has any comments from opponents of the project. This now will be entertained if anyone has any opposition to the project who's on the call. Please unmute yourself and speak if you are opposed. All right. And now it's more to ask questions. So if anyone wants to have any questions for the applicant about this amended project.
I have just a couple quick questions. Chris, it might be useful to put that back up again.
I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to try to awkwardly insert myself.
So I have, they're really just clarification questions, where I want to make sure we get on the record.
Sure.
So you have not increased at all, or decreased for that matter, the amount of area that would be under greenhouses. Is that correct?
That's correct. These are the exact same size greenhouses we've had approved.
So I think it's important to note that for you and maybe any subsequent owner of this property, because the property may continue to be owned by the Cimarowskis, but the business might be owned by someone else, that this board would not entertain putting that area that you're now asking to be outside grow, totally outside grow, to be then put into additional greenhouses, because that would definitely exceed the impervious surface, the coverage requirement or the coverage limits that we have in our zoning bylaws. So we're not anticipating a phase 2 someday where you want to add greenhouses to that 20,000, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 square foot greenhouses.
That's correct. And I think I implied some detail on this, but I may not have stated it quite so clearly. What we are proposing, just to be clear, with the inclusion of special permit to grow outdoors, is certainly to permanently use this space for true outdoor cultivation. However, I think I didn't state this clearly, is that our first phase of our greenhouses are also phased, and we would construct this phase as phase 1. And we would like the ability, if we have special permit approval to grow outdoors, to utilize the space where greenhouses will be built in future phases as outdoor in the intervening time.
Okay.
That,
Yeah.
but
But
used a lot of words there, but I hope that was...
right. But to my point, Chris, that last area that truly will remain as outdoor growth.
Correct. And by zoning, as you recall, the board gave us a slight waiver of the coverage requirements that were over by a few tenths of a percent from what zoning allows. So under zoning, it would be impossible really for us to increase the amount of greenhouse that is built on this site. I suppose unless Bernie purchased additional land and then we could come back, but we'd still need a site plan review to do that.
Right. And then I just have one last question, and that is, it doesn't appear as if your footprint has changed at all, your discussions and approvals with the Conservation Commission regarding setbacks from wetlands and intermittent stream and so on, but could you address that?
Correct. Very deliberately, so that as you may remember, there's what is in reality a farm ditch, but by regulation is an intermittent stream with associated wetland areas over here. And the blue line here is the 100-foot setback, making all of this area buffer zone. Also, based on the flood elevation of the Connecticut River, a portion of this site is in the floodplain. So we got an NOI for the previous iteration of this project. Between then and now, this entire zone of the project has not changed. The greenhouse is the exact same size and exact same location as what was approved with that order of conditions.
Thank you.
One clarification, Stephanie, gentlemen. We might be building phase 2 out prior to phase 1. That's just what we've been thinking lately. It's not definite, but there's really no difference between 1 and 2. But we are thinking building phase 2 and then phase 1.
Is there a reason for that, Bernie? Why 2 and not 1?
Just the layout. It's a little shorter there, and you know, the gutter connect greenhouse, the amount we've got ordered, you know, would fit that spot better than the other spot. So.
Any other questions by board members?
I think we answered this last time. The water for the project, is that on-site well?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And this fence that's around the grow area, is that just gonna be a fence, or is that gonna have the shades in it or anything like that?
Yeah. So
just the outdoor grow area is what I'm talking about.
the entire perimeter fence will be 8-foot chain link fence with a privacy screen attached.
Right, but the inside one, I'm just curious.
There's no proposal for additional screening inside the perimeter.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, given the flatness of this area and the 8-foot fence with the screening, it's unlikely that any portion of that outdoor could be seen from the outside, even by someone trying to get a good vantage point.
Yeah. And then the other thing, maybe I don't think this was asked, but I'm just curious, how long can you grow on that spot that's outside? That you're not growing in the ground, you're growing in pots that are going to be on the ground. They're just, the plant is going to be outside. It's not like a field of potatoes where you cultivate it. I mean, harrow it under after you're done and then do that all over again. Am I correct?
I'll have to defer to the farmers on that one.
Paul, it can be done both ways, in the ground and putting bags, pots on the soil. We've thrown out the idea of trying some of both.
I see. My question is how long can you keep growing in the ground before you either have to have fertilizer or, the farmers tend to rotate their crops. I don't know if there's you can do this for 5 seasons in a row and then you got to do something because the soil gets worn out.
Right. Well,
But you're probably going to come up with the best solution that fits your needs.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Cannabis Control Commission requires everything to be organic anyway. So if you're so certain fertilizers and inputs that need to be put into the soil, it would.
Exactly.
I have a couple of questions. The fencing around, does that need to be concrete fence posts? Are they concrete fence posts? I'm just trying to think, this is soil, farmland.
Yeah.
We
So what we actually debated that question for a while. At the very least, the corner posts and the gate posts will need to be in concrete, but the fence supplier has actually recommended driven posts for all of the line posts. So the concrete's actually pretty minimal given the length of fence that we're going to be putting in.
Great.
You don't have to worry about any rocks out there.
That's true. It should go in pretty easily.
True.
And apparently the advantage to that is it resists frost heaving a lot better than putting the concrete in.
Yeah, that seems better environmentally too, so that's good to hear.
Yes.
The other question, I attended the Whately Planning Board hearing for the parcel across the street. And one of the things that the conditions that they put on this special permit that I think that we should consider for all sorts of all projects kind of like this, and because I know this is kind of near a historically important area, the original stockade, old farms road. There's could be some artifacts in that field in that area. The Whately Historical Commission recommended a condition for the project across the street that if the applicant finds historical artifacts, that they cease construction and report findings. And I would like to maybe add that as a condition. I don't know what other board members think about that.
How much? Well, you're not planning, actually, not that I wouldn't agree to that, but my understanding from your previous presentation back in August, you're not planning a whole lot of site prep here, right? There's not, maybe a little bit of grading associated with this. It is pretty flat to begin with. You're just going to come in and place things down. Is that correct?
Pretty minimal grading. For the most part, it's stripping topsoil and resurfacing in those places where necessary. I would, aside from the fact that we'll have to be putting in a septic system, I'd say no true excavation. There will be auger holes for footings for the greenhouses and for those places where we need to concrete the fence posts.
When you say stripping topsoil, that would be where, for the road or for the parking area? That's all that's all going to be like a farm lane, right? But maybe
yeah, it is. We are going to strip it solely to get rid of the organics that are in the top layer of the soil, because you don't want, and then put in gravel surfacing so that it's passable through the winter and holds up over the long term. And you really don't want to put that stuff on top of even the fallow and whatever other detritus is on the surface. You really want to get that out, because if it rots underneath the gravel, you get potholes and things like that. And then the surfacing inside the greenhouse for weed control, for water control, for these things would be a crushed stone surfacing in there. And the topsoil being valuable to Bernie and him having plenty of places to put it to good use would obviously be preserved, and something would grow in it somewhere, just not underneath the road.
Well, it would seem, given that kind of preparation, that what Steph is suggesting makes sense. There may or may not be anything there, but at least if there is, we make sure that, it can be collected and moved off appropriately to the historical museum or wherever.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, Whately puts that on every project, and it's never been a problem before. So I don't think we have any reservations about that.
Are there any other questions from board members on this? Otherwise, I can close the public hearing.
I would like maybe on the record, this is unrelated, I mean, it's related to this project, but not our special permit. Can you just update us on where you are with the CCC and your community outreach meeting?
The community outreach meeting has completed tonight, as a matter of fact. There were no participants, no one joined in. And the actual application will be going in hopefully tomorrow. So.
And where do you stand with the select board? You have that host agreement?
Yes. Yep. We have a host community agreement.
Okay. Great.
And I'll also add in that there are many horror stories about how long it takes the CCC to take action, but they actually do prioritize applicants for outdoor grow, realizing the advantages of the low energy profile and because the lack of lighting. So we're hopeful that moves through expeditiously.
Yeah, and they're prioritizing farmers, I think, too.
Yes.
Oh, is that right? Great.
Any other questions from our board? If not, the public hearing is now closed, and now it's time for the board to deliberate on the project. And at this point, we could ask additional questions. So, but it's now board talking.
I'll make a comment.
Yeah.
This is Mike. I just want to thank them again for their really thorough presentation, and that's all the comments I have. I don't have any questions or anything.
I'll second what Mike just said. I think that this proposal, in light of the previous proposal we had, is like the Constitution.
It's a touchy subject today.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I thought my words after I said that, but you all know what I mean.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'd like to add that I think this is Bernie, you're the second or third generation of farmers in Hatfield, and probably your children and your brother's children are involved in the farm. So we're looking at 3 generations of a Hatfield farmers, and they've done a good job with what they've done. I've seen their projects before. I've seen they've been very good stewards of the land down by my house and down in the meadows, where there's a number of pieces of property that they farm, and they do an excellent job of taking care of our land and our neighborhoods here in Hatfield. So I think that this project will be consistent with their previous practices and from their previous generations, and hopefully the future generations of the Cimarowskis will be here for a long time and continue to be good stewards. And I think this project deserves our approval.
Thank you, Paul.
How does the board feel about the condition with the historical artifacts? Do you feel fine about that?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve the amended special permit with the additional condition that we include the caveat that if in any site prep they discover artifacts, that the historical commission be notified and that quick work be done to identify and remove any of those artifacts. I don't know exactly the language they use in Whately. I'd recommend that we use that language. If the board chair would have that language, I would just say that we would vote to include that condition.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a motion, Bob?
Yeah, I make the motion that we approve this special permit to add adopt or support this new site plan with the dedicated outdoor grow area of 20,000 square feet, with the additional condition to the others that were already in the special permit, as previously approved on the finding of any archaeological items during any phase of the construction.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion is approved. The special permit is approved with the conditions there. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
We're
Good
going
luck.
to sign this, right, Steph?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we have to go in, I think, and sign in the town hall.
Yeah, so Chris, you're gonna have to get us the Mylar and the necessary copies to get stamped by Gerard, and then
They're here.
set up a schedule for us to
Yeah,
sign.
we have those in already,
We're in
right?
town hall with myself and Lydia.
Now, I
We're
got one
already in,
thing,
so we just have to
one
go
of
in
the things,
to the town hall. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Stephanie, that there is a 20-day appeal period on this project as well. Just letting everybody know that this is like a new permit, so I would
Correct.
presume that there's another 20-day appeal period. Is that correct?
That would be correct, because this is in effect a new special permit.
Yeah. Okay.
But we could sign these as early as tomorrow, correct? Gerard, you have them
yes.
there?
Yeah, copies. They
Yeah.
have the copies down there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Oh, yep.
Was the name already changed on the special permit?
The River
It
Valley.
was River
Okay.
Valley Growers Inc.
Good, good. All righty.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Nice.
Good night.
Like,
Hey, Bernie. Thanks.
Bye.
Wow, we're making perfect time. That is rare for a planning board meeting. So keep going.
Good. Good for us.
I think first there's a lot of people that hopped on this call, and we're going to need to get folks' names and towns or address or wherever they're from. So if we could go through some of the, Gerard, if you want to call out people and get their names here, there's some phone numbers
Yeah.
too.
I have Andrew Bass.
Yep.
I have a guest. I don't have two guests here with no names to them. I see Linda Thayer.
I see a Dave with no last name. I don't know if we can get their last name there. Dave.
If I didn't call your name, can you please state your name?
Oh, someone's muted. I think Sean is trying to talk.
Is that Sean?
There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm guest or Sean, but Sean Hainsworth.
And there's a Dave on here. Dave. Last
Yeah.
name.
Dave's muted.
Who's Dave?
I don't know.
Okay. Dave.
There's a phone number ending in 61 also that's on the call, if they could state their name too. This is much easier in person when you just pass the paper around and everyone signs in.
I'm just going to grab my phone because I think our neighbor Tom should be on. Maybe he's muted. I'm not sure, but I'm going to grab my phone and just text him, make sure he's on.
I'm sorry, my mute was on. Tom Woodside, I am on the phone.
Okay.
Oh, okay, great.
What's your last name? I'm sorry.
Sure, Woodside, Woodside.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. We think we've got everyone except TBD with River Davis.
can you hear me now?
Oh, it's my dad. Hi, Dad.
Hi.
Tell by the name or the voice. All right. Now open the public hearing for the Walter Robert Thayer Jr. lot here. So I have to read this planning board notice. The planning board of the town of Hatfield will conduct a public hearing on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021 at 6:45 by remote. Walter Robert Thayer Jr. is seeking a special permit with site plan approval from the board pursuant to section 7B.4 subsection D at 84 King Street. The property location, assessor's map 214 lot 341, is zoned business. The The proposed project is to provide area of graded processed gravel for vehicle circulation, storage of construction material and equipment, and parking of vehicles. Property owner would utilize existing buildings for storage of equipment. Approval from the board would require applicant to comply with use regulations 5.27 of the Town of Hatfield bylaws. The complete application is available for inspection during regular business hours at the office of the town clerk, Memorial Town Hall, 59 Main Street, Hatfield. A meeting link for Microsoft Teams will be provided on this posted agenda on the town's website. All right, so now how the public hearing works, we have the applicant describe the project with any sort of specific requests or waiver grants of the board. Then we have comments from any supporters of the project on the call. Then we have comments from opponents of the project on the call. And then when we ask for questions, comments from supporters and opponents, we're just saying the chair, then the chair can direct questions to the applicant as needed. And then after for the board will ask questions of the applicant. So to the Thayers to explain their application and their request for the special.
Sure. So it's a simple project and a simple permit, we think, and you read most of what they're requesting. Basically, the open storage of materials and equipment in compliance with the use regulations 5.27, which is what I understand to be what they want to do. You know, this is not an enlargement of any business. This isn't doing anything other than the type of business that they do next door on 84 King Street, and they've done for years. Basically, they're not increasing the size of the business, the employees, the number of vehicles, or anything like that. It's more to store existing vehicles of the business, to move the vehicles, be able to move the vehicles in and out of the 84 King Street through that property that's on the side. The materials that they're storing are for personal and or immediate business use, meaning they get it from one job, they store it temporarily, they use it on a subsequent job. They've built, as you can see, there's cut out storage bins that are hidden from view from the site intentionally, and that's where they're going to store any material they take off one job and use for the subsequent job. They want to make minimal improvements to the property, mostly to reduce dust and improve drainage. You know, they took the property over. It was not well kept and stored a lot of random materials and metals and things like that. And the activity that you have seen so far has been to take those materials, organize them into piles for the purpose of determining whether they could be reused by the business, recycled, you know, sold off and recycled, or just junked or something like that. But the activity that you've seen has been improving the property both aesthetically and also excavating weird pieces of metal and things that were in the dirt and making the dirt level, grading it so that it's level, and also to improve drainage and improving it to the sites that it doesn't run where it shouldn't, either into, you know, basically they've improved the drainage. And yeah, that's basically their intent. So happy to take questions.
Stephanie, before we move on to the next phase of the hearing, is your Ms. Thayer, is your architect on the call, the person who helped you with the site plan?
Yeah, no, he's not.
Stephanie, maybe I should, for the sake of everybody, share my screen so that you can see the site plan that we have.
That'd be great. Help with questions.
Here, so maybe you can speak to this a little bit, Mrs. Thayer.
Sure, and I may have my father and brother step in here too. You know, basically you're in the front, I'm pointing to the screen, but you can't see me. In the front of the property, a lot of those trees are existing. They deliberately took out the dead trees that were about to fall on town lines, and they left the younger trees, which are going to fill out. The other improvements actually that they've already made have been to put down a what?
Gravel base.
A gravel base that reduces the dust. That's in the property. The bottom quarter, if you look in the bottom right, the back right, there's a grassy property. Yeah. They're putting grass there. To the left of where the arrow is, you just see like 2 or 3 pieces of equipment lined up there. And that's kind of the configuration. You may, if you're going by the property, you will see some piles that are there now. And those, they had a stop work order, and that was piles that they were in the middle of pushing over the bank in the process of leveling the property. So they
regrade the slope impact.
Regrading the slope. So Dad, can you explain, or Richie, can you explain the way the water's gonna flow, what they needed to do?
All right, yeah, in the extreme right-hand corner on the top, yeah, right there, there's a pipe and a catch basin. That straight line is a pipe, and that's a pipe. And then as you come towards the road, a little more, that little circle right there is a catch basin.
They can't see you
at the end of the pipe. Yeah, right there. There. That's a catch basin, and all that's been designed by Mark Gillot. So it's to control our own rainwater that goes onto the property, and then it goes over the bank. So the topographical map, what you're looking at in the back. Right there, yeah, that's an embankment. That's
the wavy lines.
Yeah, that's topographical, and it drops off there. So that's where the edge of the embankment is.
Right. There is that road. You can see that was existing there.
Yeah, that's all existing.
In front of that road kind of leaves our property. If you come a little bit forward, right there where the arrow is, but we're not going to use the road.
No, we're never going to go down.
We're never doing that. But in fact, it's already existing. It goes back and then goes lower.
It's just for maintenance, really.
There's a silt fence in place.
Yeah, and there's a silt fence already down there.
Fence down there.
So other than that,
if you look to the left of that property, there's the 2 squares. You know those as the existing buildings.
Nope, that's my father. Yeah, right there.
That one and that one.
Those are the 2 existing buildings that are already there. Yep.
And they're kind of like lean-to-ish.
Right, correct. That's
they're open air ones.
Right. Exactly.
The 2 bins that I was talking about, if you take the arrow down, there's 2 bins there. They are not visible from the street. They're hidden. There's an embankment where those existing trees are, the circles. There's an embankment that's higher than those bins, and so you can't see them as you're driving up the road. The majority of the area in the middle there will be, so right there, make a big circle right there. That's going to be mostly clear. And it's right now got a gravel, so that when they drive from the entrance, which is in the lower right-hand corner, they can go straight through to the 84 King Street property. It just helps with driving the tractor trailers in, and they don't have to previously they had to turn it around on the 84 King Street property in the back there. Just helps for more direct straight through access.
All right. Is there any more to the presentation that you would like, or otherwise? Go ahead, Bob.
I'm just wondering. I think if Mark were here, he would have just want to make sure that we all are aware. So, what is the? Do you know approximately what the area of this line here? So you've got your proposed grass space. So this. And this is important to the stormwater management discussion. Do you know what this area is right here?
It's like more than
40,000.
More than 50%.
Oh, the area that has gravel on it presently?
Yeah, so this, I'm gonna see this line that
Yeah, yeah,
that line right there
Yeah.
to here,
yeah.
down to here, this area. Approximately, what is that area?
50% of the whole,
No, I'd say a third. As it goes over the bank.
you know,
And then the whole area of the property is 66,000 or
60,000 even.
60,000 even, yeah. So it's I'd say a third. So you got probably 20,000 there in that
Well, 'cause
gravel area.
this is 200 feet from here to here. That
Correct,
post
correct,
to that post is 200 feet.
correct.
And if I read this correctly, this says right here,
Has he got it to scale? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's a scale. See, this says, let me see if I can make this bigger.
Yeah, I get it.
There. So that says 216 feet. And then it says 81 feet here. So that's 216, I'm assuming, to there, and then 81 feet to there. So if we go, back from this,
Well,
looking at least 200 by 200 perhaps, which would be close to 40,000 square feet.
No,
So
230.
it's not it has this angle in it, so it's not a square.
no, it's not.
No.
We could, I mean, we can scale it out, but
I mean,
I would say it's half. The gravel area, let's say maximum is half. I can scale it out.
the reason the reason why I'm asking this is because a stormwater management plan is required if the area to be disturbed, if you will, is greater than an acre, or there's 10,000 square feet of impervious surface, which it doesn't appear as if you have 10,000 square feet of impervious surface, but you might have, and I'm a little surprised Mark didn't give us a square footage for that, but you might actually have under 7.1.2 of our bylaws, and I'm sorry for sort of interrupting your presentation, but I think this is important.
Hey, over in
part of the presentation, 7.1.2, any project that results in the disturbance of 1 acre or more of soil, except for existing ag use, requires a stormwater management plan. And so it's important then for us to know what this square footage is, because this is essentially all disturbed area.
Especially if the gravel's already been put there too.
Yeah. And then the other thing that would be important for us to know, which is how far this is, because this is the Great Pond Marsh area here. And if we're within 100 feet of that, then the Conservation Commission needs to be involved here in terms of getting their approval and a determination from them on this activity, particularly as it relates to anything within that 100-foot buffer. And so it's not entirely clear to me, unless I, had a ruler and everything, or, the calculations to be able to determine what that distance is there. And then, the distance here. I know you've got your grassed area here, which provides a nice buffer, but
Total gravel.
there isn't a buffer here. So that's important for us to know.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
And on the plan, zoning and area calculations are right at the top. They're all at the top.
Right.
It's all written right there. He's got it all. Lot area, 60,000 square feet.
Total gravel.
Footprint of existing buildings, total gravel vehicle area. He has it all done right at the top.
So that's
okay, that's good. So the
But
total
all there.
gravel vehicle area is 21,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's
he's
a little
got
bit.
it all there.
It's
Yeah.
like
Okay, that's great. That's good. I thank you for pointing that out. It's a little hard to see because it's so small. But also, but what we don't have then is what this distance is in terms of invoking the Wetlands Protection Act and having to get Conservation
See,
Commission.
well, right, we punched it up on the computer and it was right at the bottom of there. It wasn't, it didn't come on to this property.
Yeah, it like lines right along the property line. If you, I can always share mine if you want to take a look at my screen, Bob.
All right, I'll
Hang on.
take mine off.
She'll put it, it comes right along the bottom of it.
Yeah, but what's your question that the water management, 100 feet of the Great Pond Marsh?
Can you
Uh,
change?
Yeah, no, the stormwater management is required if over an acre or more is disturbed, and you're well below that with the 21,000 square feet. But maybe Steph, you can show yours.
For whatever reason, it's not allowing me to share my screen because I need to like change the settings. So I don't. It looks like a small little piece. A little small piece of it comes a little bit into the parcel, but I don't know if you can see that. You can't see my screen right now.
Not from what
Not
from
from
what
our
I've
plans.
seen, no. But the stormwater was that catch basin, and that's why that's there. That was the management plan for that corner. There's all the property, it flows to that corner, right where that catch basin is. And it naturally did that, so we didn't change the topography of the flat area. We kept it the same. And we're just collecting it there, and that catch basin is a leaching catch basin. So it leaches into the ground right there before it goes over the bank. So that was the best way to handle that.
I'll work on getting this to share. We can later
Okay.
on. Fine, I can.
Can you see it on mine now, Steph?
What do you
I
mean?
just made it bigger.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I wanted to show you the Main Street maps, with the overlay where you can put the wetlands on top of it.
Oh, okay.
It like trickles in just a tiny little bit in the corner, and then it just basically runs up along the back end of the property line.
Okay.
Is there any more to the presentation piece that Bob you think Mark would like to share on the dot, or is there any other ways we can open it up for comments from the public? All right, so now what normally happens, we ask for comments for supporters of the project to speak. So if anyone on the call is in support of the project, please speak now. You can ask questions to myself. All right. Any comments from opponents of the project? If you have questions, make sure you address the questions to the chair so that then we can ask them to the applicant.
All right. May I speak now?
Yep. Just state your name.
My name is Attorney Andrew Bass. Oh, sorry. You were speaking?
I was just saying, just introduce yourself, but you're doing that, so.
Oh, okay. My name is Attorney Andrew Bass. I'm from Hadley, Massachusetts, and I represent Sean Hainsworth and Thomas Woodside. Sean Hainsworth resides at 59 King Street, and Thomas Woodside resides at 63 King Street. So before this meeting, I had forwarded to the board kind of a brief outline of, the problems that my clients have with this project, since we were just discussing one of them being the water runoff, and there's definitely wetlands. I don't know if I can share my screen or if someone can let me do that, but I do have that image up on my computer. Are we able to do that?
I can do mine again.
Can I?
Here.
Let's see here.
I mean, you could try yours.
I have the wetlands map on the GIS, but am I allowed to pull that up?
Yeah, so you see up on the right corner, it says leave, and then to the left of that, there's a little arrow.
Yep.
You should click on that. We should be able to then see your screen. There you go.
All right, let's see here. Can you see my screen now? Or?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. So this is the property, the subject property right here in yellow. And those are the wetlands delineated right there. So, I mean, it certainly is actually partially on that property. So that's really, I wanted to show you, and then I wanted to show you some of the photographs my clients took recently. So this is from across the street. The applicant is screening loom, processing aggregates already. There's kind of a wider picture of some heavy equipment working there. Clearly the whole site has already been disturbed before even getting any type of approval. There's some more mounding of dirt. There's some storage of materials there. Some walls have obviously been constructed already. And some more pictures of just general aggregate storage on the property. So this is what my clients live across the street from. And I think that that's why I'm here this evening, is to try and to stop this project from growing any larger. See here, how do am I still sharing my screen or no?
No, it's off now.
Okay, good. All right. So I'm trying to find myself now again here.
We can see you, Andrew.
Okay, good. I can't see me. So that's really weird. See, show participants. Well, anyway, I don't need to look at myself, but essentially my clients are very concerned about obnoxious sights, sounds, vibrations, dust, exhaust. This is a residential neighborhood. If you look at the area, most of the homes that are all residences. As I stated in the handout I presented the board before the meeting, they range anywhere from the 300,000s up into 500,000 or 600,000 range. There's families that live here, and although this particular business is already utilizing a site on 84 King Street, that should not entitle them to expand that use over into another property. If you measure it out, the frontage of the two lots is almost 550 or 600 feet. So you're talking about taking a substantial portion of a residential neighborhood and converting it to basically an industrial use. And it wasn't clear to me what exactly the long-term goal is here, but certainly I do not think enough thought has been put into the plan itself to move forward with this at this point. So that's my comment for now.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in opposition to this project?
Yeah, so this is Sean Hainsworth. So obviously Tom and I engaged Andrew on our behalf. So I think his letter articulates all of our concerns, but yes, I want to go on record as being opposed to the project.
As do I concur with Andrew's discussion and points on this. I mean, I would add just that, as neighbors, and I purchased here a couple of years ago, and having a residence with something that's quiet and you can look at and improves your property value is what any of you on the board would want. And I would ask you, with the taxes going up, is it something that as a homeowner you want your home to be across the street from an industrial processing site? That's not what I purchased. That's not what I was sold by the realtors when I purchased this property. So, and add to that, there were small children in the neighborhood. There's a disabled child in the neighborhood. I don't know that on some other points that this makes a lot of sense for that as well. So.
Can we respond?
No.
I have a comment about that.
Hold on, Jimmy. Is there anyone else who would like to speak up on the opposition to the project? All right, so now it's time. Yeah, the board can ask some questions to the applicant.
I think Ms. Linda wanted to speak.
That's
Right. So just a couple of points, because I feel like the pictures are misrepresenting what's going on there. The only reason the dirt processor is there, screening device is there, because that property, when we bought it, had a lot of buried things in there. And so Tom and Sean, I think on the last meeting, you said that that they have definitely improved the land from the road aesthetically, because both of you bought properties across the street from what was a basic, and you know, the Tatros have been neighbors for over 50 years, but you cannot tell me that that property was nice to look at. It had a lot of you know, rusted metal debris. A lot of the piles of pipes and raw metal that you see in there are things that were already existing on the property or were buried in the property improperly. They actually took a lot of improperly buried things out of the property. And the only way you can do that is to make that piece of land back to its proper state is to take the dirt and sift it. That's the way you get things out of the dirt. And so what they did is they took that property with all of its trash, and they have been sorting the trash. They've been putting the pipes in one pile, the concrete, you know, pieces and debris in another pile, the wire, the glass, the bottles, the things like that. How do you get that out of a dump site effectively? What you bought next to is a dump site. And we didn't want a dump site to continue to be back to the home property where I grew up and where we've lived for 60 years. We bought that to improve that so we wouldn't have to look at that. And the only thing is my father and my brother don't want to have to make little U-turns in the back of the yard. They want to be able to drive straight through the property. They have every intention of the piles that you showed pictures of. I think I addressed that in the first thing, is using that dirt, but they were going to, you know, the stop order, they're going to use it, or they're going to put it in this place where you can't see it. They're going to plant grass. They're going to line their little trucks up in a row. And the other piles that you see, they're either going to use them on a job in the next couple, when they can go back to work outside, or recycle or sell and melt down or scrap the metal that they found partially embedded in the earth there. And so I'm really, you make it sound like we are the ones that are destroying the neighborhood when we've been here for over 60 years. 57 years. He's been doing the same thing. They're not, I started this by saying they're not expanding their business. So the business that all these children move next to that you're so worried about, it's the same number of trucks, the same number of employees, the same number of dirt piles, the same number of in and outs. In fact, you know, probably fewer, because, but the pile is, we just don't understand what the big objection is when we have done everything possible to pretty up the property, reduce the dust, there's no additional noise, there's no additional in and outs of the trucks.
No lighting.
We're not going to put up lighting. We're trying to put in trees as we find them, you know, or the ones that were there are going to grow faster because we removed the dead ones, and the little ones that are there are going to grow faster. We're improving the drainage so that it doesn't we don't want to harm any wetlands or do anything improperly. Yeah, we just don't want it to run down the street into creating problems for other neighbors.
Yeah, I think the comments more, yes, I think the comments were more about the process of how it happened, as opposed to, like, you know, normally you come before the board before a lot of this stuff happened. But if you're building a single family home there, you know, that you wouldn't have to come before the board to do any of this. So it's just the process of whether the business was going to be a part of that, or if a single family home is, and the way that it works with, you know, you have to apply for these special permits usually before you do any sort of this stuff. So
yeah, there's a little bit of confusion here because it is zoned for business. It is zoned.
Yep, their whole that strip, 82 to 80, 82, 84, 86, and 88 are all zoned for business
So
technically.
to the extent we started before we got the special permit, we apologize for that. But we bought it with the impression we looked on the map, we saw it was zoned business, and it's and we did minimal amounts of stuff, and we apologize for not getting the special permit before storing our pile of dirt there.
I just have two comments. So and we appreciate the things you've done over there. However, you may not be expanding your business in terms of number of employees, but you're expanding the footprint of your business significantly by 60,000 square feet. You are also taking a lot that is zoned for business and turning it into light industrial. You are not using it for a business purpose, you are using it for a light industrial purpose. And so what we object to is the addition of 60,000 feet of light industrial in the neighborhood. So I understand your perspective, but business is not light industrial. The way you're using that lot right now is non-conforming. Okay. That is our point. You are not conforming with the law.
I'm sorry, I don't want us to have a back and forth here between the applicant and the neighbors. So I want to make sure we're addressing comments to the chair, and so that we keep this, going smoothly here. The piece that we're in the public hearing now is the board is asking applicants questions and the abutters, neighbors questions. So if we could have, I apologize for interrupting in that, but I feel like last time we had this, it got a little tense. So I just want to make sure we're getting to the questions that we need to be asked.
Well, I still have a comment when it's my turn.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I have a question when it's my turn.
Okay, so you guys bought property recently across the street within the last few years, and the fair operation has been going on there for 57 years. So I find it hard to understand why you're saying now that you're not happy living across the street from a business when the business existed before you bought the property. So it seems to me to make sense that you would have looked into what's going on across the street, decided that you like it or don't like it in that neighborhood, and buy or don't buy as a result of that. That's my opinion. Think about what you're buying before you buy it, and if you don't like what's there, don't buy it. But don't come later and complain about something that was there before you started, and now you're complaining that it's there.
I have a response.
Yeah, was that a question there?
Yeah.
Jimmy, was that a question?
I don't know if it's quite, it's more of a statement.
Well, the response from my side simply is that you're adding 60,000 feet of industrial use across the street. So.
Mike, do you want to ask some questions?
I just wondered if someone had a use table in front of them, and if we could look up
I do, Mike.
The accuracy of the gentleman's argument. That's all.
Yeah, I do. And this is not saying anything one way or the other about how I feel about the project, but I just want to make sure in a world of facts and alternative facts, while it's a 60,000 square foot lot, I think it's fair to say that the project as proposed in the design that Mark Gillot prepared and we saw earlier, it's not a 60,000 square foot activity. I mean, it's about 21,000 square feet of that 60,000 square foot lot. The application is for 5.27, which I think all agreed at a previous meeting is the correct use, which is construction, industry, and suppliers, including open storage and materials and equipment, which is a use in the business zone that could be allowed with site plan approval and special permit. So while it might be, considered by some to be an industrial use or light industrial use, it is allowed with the same requirement of a special permit or site plan and site plan review in the industrial and light industrial zone. It is a use with that caveat in the business zone.
Thanks, Bob. That's what I thought I had recalled, but I don't have the use table in front of me, so thank you.
I have a question too about, so because you all have been at this at the 84 King Street property for a very long time, you know, we don't really know what the current traffic situation, like there isn't like anything on the record of like what your current traffic situation is, any sort of, you say there's no increase of this, no increase of that, but we don't have anything to compare it with because this, you know, you've been grandfathered into this parcel and haven't needed to provide anything like that. So I am curious, like the frequency of like how many trucks are going in a day would be using this new parcel for parking and for going in and out of some of the, I guess that would be the first question.
Yeah, Dad's going to answer.
Yeah, that's going to vary on the day and the jobs and the use. You know, some days we go in and out of there a couple of times. Sometimes it might be 5 times a day. We use my driveway up here, and it just makes it a little more convenient and a little more efficient for our operation. And time is money, and efficiency is what my company, I'm very proud of it, and that's what I've done a lot of projects over the course of 52 years of the actual construction business, and we're very proud of our reputation in this town. In fact, I did the site work on you guys' houses over there in the driveway and all of that. But anyway, that's beside the point. But only a few trucks a day. It's not going to be a drastic change.
Well, yeah, and how many people do you employ? I guess is the question too, because that could be an indication.
That varies by the year.
Right.
Like maximum of 2 or 3.
Construction work, maximum 2 or 3.
Right.
So
you're not like having 15, 20 person operation.
No. In fact, think about it this way also. They, on many days existing, they come out in the morning and they come in the afternoon through our driveway. So the maximum, what we're going to see now is they'll come in our driveway and go out that driveway. So maybe it's only half the uses. On some days, if they have to haul the dirt from there, maybe they come 3-4 times. But instead of going 3 and 4 times in and out of Dad's driveway, they're going to come in one driveway and out the other driveway. So it's not like there's an increase of use. It would be maybe a half to a third of it, instead of being on our property, will be out that driveway.
So Steph, I have a couple comments. I think despite the design that Mark Gillot has done for you, I feel that the special permit as it now stands is deficient in a couple areas, and I myself would not feel confident voting one way or the other on the special permit until these deficiencies are addressed. These are all outlined in the zoning bylaw under 5.3, the requirements for a special permit. And in particular, I would note under 5.3.3, there's a number of required special permit application contents. And some of the ones that are missing, as Steph just asked, is the traffic flow, which I think we would want to have something more detailed than just what you've described. I mean, something actually laid out in writing so that we could all look at it, the abutters could look at it. Under 5.3.3, number 9, drainage calculations and sub-drainage along with soil logs would be important to have. Mark has outlined where your catch basin is going to be, but we don't have those calculations. We don't have in that same area, we don't have the plans under 15, plans for clearing, stockpiling, or removal of topsoil on the site, including whether such topsoil is to be permanently removed from the site or used elsewhere. And then finally, it's not entirely clear from the design that Mark did under number 11 in this same list of required contents, proposed landscape features including location and description of buffers, screening, fencing, and plantings, including the size and type of plant materials. Because clearly from those pictures, while you have improved the property by maybe removing garbage, if you will, I think it's fair to say that that particular property didn't have equipment parked on it. It didn't have equipment going in and out for even 2 years or 50 years or however long you've been there or the neighbors have been there. But now there is. And so I think at a minimum, there should be some attention to screening and landscaping. And I'm not seeing that in that chart. So those are the items that I'm identifying. In addition to, I do believe that you are going to have to go to the Conservation Commission, just given the proximity of the wetland and the Great Marsh, the Great Pond area.
Yeah, especially with the drainage going that way too. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, can Dad mention something? Go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, I think the abutters are missing the point here. The material that's there in the piles on site there's some fill and there's some topsoil. It's not a super good topsoil, but it can be used to modify the slope in the back where Mr. Tatro removed soil. I want to make it safe. I want to stabilize it so there's no runoff. And we have fences noted on the print there. And I just want to smooth it out, put the proper drainage in, and then use the land. I don't know if you need a traffic count.
Yeah, well,
you know, but we'll do whatever we need to do, and I'll hire an engineer to properly design whatever. But I'm not going to spend that kind of money and not use the property.
we can answer the topsoil removal question. There is no topsoil
There was no,
removal.
yeah.
We didn't remove any. We're not intending to remove any.
It's all rot down logs. That's what it was.
There was we took the soil that is there. That sifter that you saw got the better dirt that's going to be used for the grassy area. So
and one more comment. Mr. Tatro was in and out of there with backhoes, with equipment.
Yeah, he was in and out of there.
And I've been here a lot longer than the 2 years, okay?
Yeah. So there was traffic in and out of there. It just wasn't ours. So.
Yeah, and I think Mr. Tatro is considered a farmer, so farmers get a lot more leeway with what they can do there, I think, as well, probably.
I think the Thayers are trying to make a point that there's not much difference between the traffic that they're creating and the traffic that Mr. Tatro created as far as the neighbors go, not as far as their ability and license to use the property.
I think what we're trying to make the point is that it's very disheartening and upsetting, quite frankly, that we, like the rest of you who have been in this neighborhood a long time, bought the property with the intention of cleaning it up so that we, like you, wouldn't have somebody move in that would do something destructive to the property. And everything that they have done has been to remove trees that were going to fall on public lines and take out your electricity until the people got there. They did that.
No cost to the town.
The town wouldn't do it. They did it at their own cost. Improving drainage so the people downhill won't get flooded with just the regular drainage that runs down that hill on the pavement. Improving the sand so the people, if there's kids in the yard, they don't get hurt on the metal that's there, or the way that the bank was carved out. I mean, Alfie carved out the bank in a way that if the children were playing over there, it would have caved in on them. So now we are the ones that have been doing improvements to the land to make it safe, to restore it to its natural, the way it's going to look a whole lot better, and to recycle the materials on there. And we're the ones having to jump through hoops to have to do it. So we understand that there's requirements, and we understand that, but it really hurts to have our neighbors move in and tell us all this stuff after the fact.
Well, if I may, Mrs. Thayer, regardless of what your neighbors if none of your neighbors were here, we would still be asking for some of these things because the application is not complete regarding some of those items I pointed out, and in particular, the issue regarding the wetlands. I think we do have to have you meet with the Conservation Commission, and maybe if I might just pull up your chart again, and you can show us where you, let me see. Let me, I'm going to pull up your design again because you can talk to my question about screening, because it's not clear to me from this design where there's new screening to be put in. I mean, I see here existing oaks, existing white pines. But when I see those pictures, I can see this berm that was there, and I see quite a bit that you can see from King Street. And so at a minimum, I think it would be important to think about some additional screening in here, or at least you can articulate what, it's hard for me to tell if any of this is new, and what is new, what it would look like. I see new spruce buffer, but I only see 2 trees. I'm not seeing much in the way of screening in here.
You had talked about a
Yeah, we
fence
talked
over the
about more
entrance,
more
right?
trees if that's what's required.
Yeah, we prefer to go with a natural screening than a fence.
But over the entrance, didn't you?
We would
Right,
there,
but
we had a stop order.
Yeah.
So
right, okay, but they're not. It's not articulated on the plan that you were planning on putting any additional screening in here, because as it is right now, it looks like this wouldn't be any different than what we saw in those photographs.
Some of those circles are not there now existing. Doesn't it say new spruce green buffer right there? On
Yeah,
the
it
very
just
bottom?
says new spruce buffer, but I only see 1 and 1, and then it says existing white pines, which is
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Those are
So
gonna, yeah,
Those are what's this last dot?
that's an oak tree
Oak
on
tree.
the end.
here's the vehicle trips. It's noted right there.
Oh, yeah, actually, the
Yes,
vehicle trips
special, yeah.
are noted in, on the right under special permit information.
Oh, that very small font that I.
Yeah.
It's all there.
See, it says
It's all legible.
there.
each trip may consist of 5 vehicle trucks with turret machinery.
They should have the Mylar print in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, we've been doing everything digitally, so the Mylar copies, they're all at the town hall, so. That's,
So
Yeah.
wait, I'll try and blow that up.
you
if I
can't read
can.
it when you blow it up there, Bob.
What's that? Oh, yeah, you can't read it.
Yes.
Yep.
You mind reading those 4 points there under special permit information for us?
Us or someone else?
I think
It's
you're
you.
the only, unless Gerard has the hard copy too.
Oh, no, I have the hard copy. So under number 1, it says vehicle trips. Vehicle trips leaving and entering the site per day shall average 5. Each trip may consist of up to 5 vehicle trucks with tailored machinery. So average 5. Then number 2 says erosion and dust control. Vehicle and storage areas have been graded and hard packed with processed gravel, producing minimal dust. 3 says stormwater management. All surface water flow shall be contained on site. The upper portion of the site is very low, sloped having a grade of 1.75 or 1.3% slope. A leaching catch basin with 12-inch pipe to an outflow area with stone riprap shall be installed at the east end of the upper section of the site. A sift fence has been installed. I'm sorry, the print's small. A silt fence has been installed along the old farm road in the lower section of the site. That was there when we bought it, right? Wasn't it? Yeah. So, and then 4 says no lighting shall be installed on site.
Yeah, I still think that, you know, the issue is a little, I want to make sure that we're going to be doing this environmentally, you know, well, with considering the Great Pond is right there. So I do think that we're going to need some information, I think, from Concom, or see what they think about that.
Well, can we have a list of
Yeah.
their requirements now?
Yeah, can we have a list? I mean, because one of the things was 5.3.3.9 traffic flow, and that's in the right-hand column there,
That's been addressed.
or number of vehicles, plan for number of vehicles. There's only one entrance. I don't know how we would describe the traffic flow other than coming in and out of the driveway
As needed.
as needed. I mean, and up
And,
to,
and you don't plan any soil removal, you said.
no, none taken off the land that we didn't buy with the land.
So the other thing that I brought up then would be actually for Mark to do some drainage calculations. 5.3.39, 0.39, yeah.
Drain calculations and soil logs.
Yes.
That's some.
What is, okay, I'll ask him what that is.
And then
We work with engineers all the time. We can have that designed in whatever way you want, whatever you want.
it's on page 37 and 38 of the zoning bylaws, and it's number 9, which falls on page 38, drainage calculations and sub-drainage along with soil logs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think to Stephanie's point, getting a meeting with the Conservation Commission to have them look at this, because as pointed out, as we saw when we looked at the screen provided by Mr. Bass, this definitely touches that Great Pond wetland area. And then I personally would just like to say, I'd like you to do a little more work on the screening.
Can we ask the neighbors what kind of screening that they would find acceptable, or what kind of would make it more amenable?
Let me just say that to the comment earlier about I should have known this when I bought the place. When we bought our property here at 63 King Street, the Thayers have a lovely home, a lot of really cool antique farm equipment. It's great. I mean, it's an agricultural community. I lived in Leverett on a 9-acre heavily wooded property for 10 years. And so we had a very peaceful place, moved to Hatfield, and it was very peaceful. Yeah, it looked like a dump, and we almost didn't buy it because there was a sawmill across the street that apparently had been shut down. But it looked like a wild area. There were lots of trees there. There were many trees that you guys took out because you said they were dead. But we couldn't see it. We couldn't see tractors. We couldn't see anything. We couldn't see anything on your property because it's well hidden. Your property is currently graded below your home, I think. And so from our vantage point, in our home, it's a 2-story home, we couldn't see anything but, mountains in the winter and your home and trees. Now we look out and we see a bunch of construction equipment. So, to answer, Stephanie, your question, the screening that was there covered up a lot of stuff of, quote, the dump that was there. And that's a whole nother issue about the guy who previously polluted the land and probably violated a whole bunch of environmental protection laws and regulation, but that's another conversation that could potentially have leached into the wetlands. But, we couldn't see any of it. And so I don't know what you'd do. You'd probably have to put up some very large trees or something to screen it. That's what I would think.
Don't see anything.
I would just add, I think natural screening for me to trees, et cetera, as opposed to any kind of, fencing. I think natural screening would be preferable from my perspective as well.
May I make a comment?
I'm not sure who's speaking there. Is that Mr. Bass?
Andrew Bass. Yeah. Can you see me?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, and if the board were going to make serious consideration of this after the plan has been submitted in a manner consistent with the bylaws, I mean, I think that not only in addition to the Conservation Commission, my clients would like to see the Board of Health involved as well, just to make sure that there's not going to be dust coming off of the site into their houses or onto their yards and into their lungs, basically. 5 trips a day with, I don't know how big of trucks these guys have, but I can imagine during the summer that there could be some substantial dust generated even on a hard pack road. And even under normal conditions, you would make a contractor building a residential home, wet down dust just during construction. So, I mean, basically, these guys are going to be driving their trucks there 5 times a day, every day. They need to be wetting down that site as well to control the dust. And so that's the Board of Health job in that situation, to make that type of regulation. And then another thing would be the maintenance of the street. So, I don't know if they're going to be carrying out dirt on their tires and everything 5 trips a day. I'm sure my clients don't want the street in front of their house to be covered in stone and mud every day. So those are just some other additional considerations that I would implore the board to make in considering this project.
Stephanie, may I ask, of the Thayers, to the last point about the vehicle trips, well, if I understand what you said earlier, this would not change the number of vehicle trips that you've had previously. It just, they'd come out a different spot on your property. Is that correct?
Yeah, so only half of them would come out. The other half would come in our own property. And I don't know if Mr. Bass has ever been to his clients' houses, but we're not going to be driving the trucks on their personal streets.
No, I know that, but I'm asking you, in terms of will it change the traffic pattern in terms of number? It doesn't sound like it's changing the number of trucks that you move in and out. You're just going in and out a different spot on the property?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Can you see something, Dad?
Yeah, there was an existing curb cut there for years, okay? And we installed town water and town sewer. And then we proceeded to pave about 25 feet into our property from the road, addressing a blacktop swale to address the town water that comes down the hill, and it proceeds down King Street until the nearest catch basin. Okay, but the point I'm making is any dirt and dust on the tires won't go out into the road because that's been a paved area. It's all paved, so that situation has been addressed.
And we're gonna
We're still screen sharing, by the way.
And that was all done with a blessing at our cost to the town of Hatfield, and the blessing was from the Highway Department superior.
And the Highway Department, actually, Tom, we didn't remove trees just for, willy-nilly. The town actually certified them as needing to be removed.
So they would not fall on the wires across the street and create a situation, a real hazardous situation.
Bob, your screen is
We didn't
still.
have a choice on that, actually.
You got an email on there.
They were posted to be taken down,
Yeah.
legally posted.
Legally posted.
Bob, you're still screen sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry, really? Oh, we got an email from someone who couldn't get into the call. And so I wanted to let them know that, how they might be able to get in. Sorry about that.
Stephanie, before I forget, can we get a copy of the letter that these people sent to you? Because we didn't get one before this meeting. We're caught a little bit off guard about.
Yeah, we got it right before the meeting. We'll have Gerard send it over to you. Gerard, I think, has your contact information. Yeah, thanks, Gerard.
Anything that they've sent to the board, we'd like to have a copy of it, please.
Mm-hmm. All right, is there any other questions for the applicant or any of the supporters or opponents? Because if not, we can close the public hearing and then the board can deliberate.
Well, do we want to close the public, do we want to close it or continue it?
Well, I make a motion that we continue the public hearing so that the Thayers may address some of the issues that were raised tonight. And we can share with them the letter that came from Mr. Bass. And they can also discuss the project with the Conservation Commission.
What is that a motion?
I would.
Is that any? Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I would second that motion.
So it was seconded by Mike.
Yep.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now we vote to continue the public hearing to our next meeting, which is the first Wednesday in February. So hopefully there'll be time to connect with the Conservation Commission. And we can hear from them and see get some of the answers to the questions that we had here.
I have a question. Are the Thayers still in a stop work situation right now?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they need to wait. They need to get the permit in order to
Permit.
on the park.
So there's no way that they can be held to ameliorate with screening the neighbors' problems until this is all resolved.
I mean, Jimmy, we're also concerned about the environmental impacts as well.
I understand that part. I'm talking about the screening only, where these people, the neighbors want screening in there, but they put a stop work order on their property. So there's no way they're going to have it screened before this is resolved.
Right.
And that's okay. We don't want to put in any trees until we figure out if we can use the property.
Yeah, and it's winter. You can't put trees in February.
Well,
yeah, and Jimmy, it's like has to be a part of the plan too.
Right. I get that. I get that. I'm just saying that the neighbors will have no relief from the view until this is resolved.
Still, there's leaves on the trees. Yes.
Well, they're saying that the trees that are there are not adequate.
Right.
So it's not even that there's no leaves on them, but that there's not enough of them. So they cannot. That problem cannot be resolved until this is resolved.
Yep. Yeah, and I understand the Thayer's frustration with this. It's it's one of those things when I appreciate the effort and the energy that's into that application, and it's not like you're asking to put in buildings. I with it, but it's because you've been in that property for a very long time and are grandfathered in, and then if you want to expand into a new property, this is the way we have to do it when there's new businesses moving into different parcels. So, so we'll look forward to what comes out of the Conservation Commission and seeing them on. Otherwise, I think we're all set with that.
Will this be re-noticed for another hearing?
If it's continued, is that what happens, Bob? Or I don't think it does if it's a continued.
No.
Oh, I will note that when the hearing did say 84 West Street or 84 King Street, but the parcel we're discussing is 82 King Street. So I don't know if that
it actually hasn't been assigned 82 yet, as far as we know. It's
it doesn't have a number. I know, I've noticed that, but the way that the hearing was posted, it said for 84 King Street, which should not be the case, I don't think, but maybe, I don't know, because there's no number there.
84 is the applicant's address.
Right.
The property in question is next door.
So I don't know. Someone could say, that's not the right parcel that we're talking about. So I would say, I don't know if we would have to repost a hearing for that in order to have the right. This is just for our own.
The newspaper clipping is what she's talking about. That newspaper.
Just so we are, make sure that nobody can
really matter to us. Who's going to come other than me?
Stephanie, I would have Gerard double check, because we would have the amount of time to get it noticed if we needed to, I think, before the February meeting.
Okay, yeah. So Gerard, can you look into that?
Yep, will do.
Actually, Stephanie, I think it might be noticed correctly, because it says that approval from the board that the property location, parentheses, assessor's map 214 lot 341 is zone business. So I think it's noticed properly, but it just said approval, the request is from Walter Thayer at 84 King Street.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was all correct. So, okay.
It probably won't get a street number because there's no building there.
Right.
That's correct. We asked about that.
The building inspector won't, there's nothing there.
Right.
So he can't assign it.
Correct.
Exactly.
assign it a house number.
Right.
So it's going to go under that lot number.
Correct.
Right, correct.
I would just like to add that I think probably just for the Thayers, Mark Gillot probably has a copy of the, I'm sure he has a copy of our zoning laws, and specifically the section that we were discussing, or Mr. Wagner was discussing, the 5.3.3 special permit applications, which lists in detail the number of steps that have to be taken. So you may want to review that with him in your application. So that's all I have. Thanks.
I have a question, actually. So basically, since you brought that up, are you saying that this board made no waivers of those provisions? Is that what the procedural history here is? Is that there was no waivers made of those provisions to date?
There have been no waivers.
Okay.
Yes. Are we all set to move off of this part of the agenda?
And also, I don't think there's been any request for waivers either.
Right. That's, I think, what he was, yeah. We haven't granted any, there haven't been any asked. You know,
okay.
There won't be a grant until we vote on this and would add those conditions into that process. We're just continuing the hearing till next month right now, until we get some more information and have a information from Conservation Commission and those couple other things that Bob mentioned, screening. All right, is any other questions? Yeah, all right, we all set? Otherwise we can move on off of this agenda item. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, and because we, I think, took the time in the beginning, I don't really think there's too much more we need to chat about. Our next meeting, like I said, is February 3rd. Is there anything else that anyone would like to just, any updates or anything other to discuss before we?
Steph, do we have to talk about our budget?
Yeah, that's something I can work with Bob on, unless you want to talk about it here now, or whatever you.
No, I'm just wondering what kind of direction we're just gonna file for the same as we did last year, or any increase. I think that you know, any increase in either compensation or training. I think training is important.
Yeah,
we can do trainings.
And also, Bob, I remember last year we were going to be then COVID happened, and so a lot of stuff changed. But weren't we asking a request to get a planner on our town payroll, a part-time one?
That's right. We did put money in originally, and Marlene is very supportive of that idea. And we had worked with her on putting together a number to share a planner with another town or two. So we might want to consider putting that back in. I mean, our finances are probably not any better than they were last year, but we can, you know, depending upon what the finance committee says in terms of just, you know, requesting as they did last year, you know, I think it was a 5% cut, then a 10% cut, and then a level budget, which is ultimately what we gave them. But yeah, that is something that we did consider last year.
Yeah, Mike.
So Bob and Steph, you're going to work on this, and then you'll bring it back in February to us?
Yeah, because I think the deadline for that isn't. Yeah, because we just got that email from Marlene last week, was it? So
yes,
I have to dive into that. Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Fine with me.
So, Steph, is my screen is not being shared right now, right? I apologize for that, but I did see that I got an email and I looked, and it was actually from Eric Petrus, you know, Eric Van Giel, who often attends our meetings. And so, Gerard, I just wanted to let you know, he said that, and maybe I will share it again so you can see this. So he said he was unable to join the meeting tonight because there was no clickable meeting link available on the town website. The meeting agenda was a copy of a PDF. I'm even questioning if the public hearing on both items can even be considered compiled with as many people may have been unable to log in, just like me.
People can technically call in, so I don't think that.
Yeah, he said calling in was not an option for him tonight. And we did have other people join us.
Yeah, like my dad joined and he's not like he got enough, like.
Yeah, so, yeah,
So
I don't know, Gerard, it's probably worth looking into this to make, I actually just want to make sure my screen isn't being shared anymore, is it?
You're good.
Okay, so that, I thought I had hit that X before. It's a good thing I wasn't reading the New York Times. Trying to find out.
I just recommend adding like the whole URL so folks can actually, if they can't click on it, they have the whole full spelt out URL as to how to join.
Usually, I think Lydia or Elena normally creates a link. And so I didn't reiterate or didn't ask for that specifically. So next time I'll definitely ask for that specifically, that she creates a clickable link on the town's website.
Well, I called in because I couldn't find the link either. So
yeah, I apologize. But
that's all right.
They were. I think it should. I mean, you should be able to call in though, correct?
Yeah, that's why he's on the phone.
Well, actually, yeah. So, Gerard, I just went on our website, the town website, and if you go to so if you go to the meeting calendar, which is what I did, I went to I clicked up here, meeting calendar.
Yep.
And then I clicked on planning board, and for that matter, even planning. Let's click on planning board hearing. There's a click here to join the meeting.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's
well, mine wouldn't work, so I don't know.
It was there under the community meeting calendar. Maybe not under hours. I mean, let me just we're on.
Normally click on the PDF.
Yeah, I'm going to go to planning board now. And there's a planning board meeting. Actually, doesn't look like we have anything even on here on ours, but on the
town.
If I go back to the home page, actually, how do I get back to the home page?
Just hit the seal.
Oh, okay. So if I go back to the home page, if I go to meeting calendar,
on the
there's definitely a clickable link there. Click here to join the meeting. Yeah, it pulled up. It pulled it up. So
I don't know. Maybe it's me then.
Do you have that app downloaded to your computer? I've talked to other people and they said I can't get into the meeting. Not our meetings, but other meetings that and they said it won't let me in. It won't let me in. And
no, I downloaded the app.
They don't have the app on their phone or on their computer, so that's what they don't realize that they have to have the app in order to get into the meeting.
You should still be able to use it with a browser.
You should. You just don't have the greatest view. The view isn't good.
I got on with my browser, not with an app, and I just clicked on that thing, click here to get on the meeting, and it brought up the screen that you guys said, and I got on with it says get on with your browser or with an app, and I clicked the browser and it worked fine.
Well, when I go in to sign the stuff, I'll bring my computer and go see Gerard, and we'll get it worked out.
Yep.
So, Steph, I would I'll leave it to you as the chair to respond to Eric. But I think we can say, hey, we're really sorry you didn't get in, but we even during the meeting addressed your question, and the link was there, and we did have people joining.
Yeah, I'll send him the link that you just referred to or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And he couldn't call in, but he could have called in, I guess. So, and you said your dad called in, right?
My dad's on his tablet.
Yeah.
He's going high tech.
Yeah.
He couldn't find the unmute button to say his name though. So.
No.
Yeah, be nice, will you please?
You're still on here.
Yeah, I'm still on. I hear you picking on me.
Anything else tonight?
I think we're done.
All right.
Yeah.
All
I make
right.
a motion, we adjourn.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gerard, would I be able to come in even tomorrow to sign the docs?
Yes, I'm here 8:30 to 4:30 all day tomorrow.
Okay.
8:30 to 4:30.
We need to call you, right, Gerard?
Well, I mean, we're open to the public. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? We're open to the public 9 to 1. But if you're coming outside of those hours, just give me a call or you can swing the bell. I'm here between 8:30 and 4:30.
So we don't have to make an appointment.
You don't. Just ring the bell and I'll come see you. But we are open to the public from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Where's the bell?
It's right on the side door.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sign there. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
Good meeting, Steph. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
So long.